I 32F, still can't believe what happened last night. My hands are trembling as I type this. After crying myself to sleep and waking up to an empty house, I need to get this off my chest. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I deserved it. I don't even know anymore. Yesterday was our 5th wedding anniversary. 5 years with Mark, 35M, who I thought was the love of my life. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but lately, things have been more down than up. Mark has been increasingly distant, working late hours, barely acknowledging me when he comes home. I chalked it up to stress at work. He's been gunning for a promotion for months. I decided our anniversary was the perfect opportunity to rekindle some of the spark we'd lost. Mark's favorite meal is his mother's beef bourguignon. She passed away 2 years ago, and he often mentions how much he misses her cooking. I've never attempted it before because, honestly, I was intimidated. His mother was an excellent cook, and Mark never failed to remind me how my cooking skills paled in comparison to hers. But I was determined. I called his sister for the recipe, which she reluctantly shared after making me promise not to butcher it. I spent 3 days practicing components of the dish when Mark wasn't home. I watched countless YouTube videos, read multiple recipes, and even splurged on a new Dutch oven and expensive wine for the sauce. Yesterday morning, as soon as Mark left for work, I started prepping. The recipe was complex, searing the meat perfectly, sautéing the vegetables just right, getting the sauce to the perfect consistency. I spent 6 hours in the kitchen, burning my forearm on the oven rack at one point, but I barely noticed through my determination. I set the table with our wedding china, lit candles, uncorked a bottle of his favorite red wine, and even put on the dress he once said made me look beautiful. When he walked through the door at 7 p.m., exactly when I'd asked him to be home, I felt a surge of hope. He looked surprised by the candlelit setting, maybe even impressed. I poured him a glass of wine and told him to sit down while I brought out the food. "It smells like Mom's kitchen in here," he said, and my heart soared. I placed the steaming pot of beef bourguignon on the table with trembling hands and watched as he took his first bite. I held my breath, waiting for his reaction, praying that my hard work would pay off, that this would be the turning point we needed. He chewed slowly, his expression unreadable. Then, without warning, his face contorted. He grabbed his napkin and spat the food into it. I froze, my wine glass halfway to my lips. "What the hell is this supposed to be?" he snarled. It's your mom's beef bourguignon," I stammered. "I got the recipe from Sarah." His eyes narrowed as he pushed his plate away. "This tastes nothing like hers. Nothing." "I follow the recipe exactly," I said, my voice small. "I've been practicing for days." He laughed, but it wasn't the warm laugh I fell in love with. It was cold, derisive. "Well, it wasn't enough, was it? You always do this, try to be something you're not. My mother was an artist in the kitchen. You're just not." I felt my throat tighten. "Mark, I tried really hard. I wanted tonight to be special." "Special?" He took a large gulp of wine. "Do you know what would have been special? Not ruining the one thing I asked you not to touch. My mother's recipes are sacred, and you had no right." "But I didn't ask for the recipe. Sarah offered." "Oh, so now you're blaming my sister?" His voice rose. "Classic. You never take responsibility for anything." I sat there, stunned. This wasn't about the food anymore. Something else was happening. "What's really going on, Mark? We've barely spoken in weeks. You come home late every night. You barely look at me anymore." He pushed his chair back from the table with a screech. "Maybe I'm tired of pretending everything's fine when it isn't. Maybe I'm tired of coming home to someone who can't even get a simple recipe right." "A simple recipe?" I felt something snap inside me. "I burned myself cooking this for you. I spent our entire grocery budget for the week on ingredients. How is that not enough?" "It's never enough," he shouted, slamming his fist on the table. The wine glasses jumped, red liquid sloshing onto the pristine tablecloth I'd ironed earlier. "You try and you try, but you never measure up. My mother saw it from the beginning." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What do you mean?" His face twisted into something ugly, something I didn't recognize. "No wonder my mother begged me not to marry you. You're useless in every way." Time seemed to stop. The candlelight flickered across his face, highlighting the contempt in his eyes. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. She said that about me?" "The day before our wedding," he said, his voice eerily calm now. "She took me aside and told me I was making the biggest mistake of my life. That you would never be good enough. 5 years of marriage, and he'd been carrying this poison inside him the whole time. I thought of all the subtle criticisms, the comparisons to his mother, the way he'd sometimes look at me with disappointment when he thought I wouldn't notice. It all made sense now. "Why did you marry me then?" I whispered. He didn't answer right away. He refilled his wine glass, drained it in one go. I thought she was wrong. I thought love would be enough. He laughed bitterly. Guess mothers know best after all. I stood up, not trusting myself to speak. I walked to the kitchen, my legs unsteady. The pot of beef bourguignon sat on the stove, still steaming slightly. 6 hours of work, 3 days of preparation. I grabbed it, feeling its weight in my hands, and for one wild moment, I considered throwing it at him. Instead, I dumped the entire pot into the trash can. When I returned to the dining room, Mark was texting someone, completely disengaged from the emotional carnage he'd just unleashed. "Who are you texting?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. He didn't even look up. "Work stuff. Don't worry about it." But I had spent too many nights alone, wondering where he was, to believe that anymore. "Is there someone else?" I asked. His fingers froze over his phone screen. That was all the answer I needed. "That's what I thought," I said quietly. Mark looked up, his expression hardening. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me for God knows how long." He set his phone down. "Fine. You want the truth?" "Yes, I've been seeing someone. Melissa from accounting. It started 3 months ago." The confirmation hit me like a truck, but strangely, I felt oddly calm. As if I'd known all along and was just waiting for him to admit it. 3 months, I repeated. "So while I was planning our anniversary, you were planning your next date with her?" He had the decency to look away. "It wasn't supposed to get serious. But it did." He nodded slowly. "She gets me in a way you never did. She doesn't try to replace what I had with my mother. She respects those memories." I laughed, a hollow sound that didn't belong to me. "Your mother. Always your mother. Did you ever stop to think that maybe I wasn't trying to replace her? That I was just trying to make you happy in my own way?" "You never made me happy," he said plainly, as if discussing the weather. "I settled for you. Mom knew it. That's why she said what she did. 5 years of my life. 5 years of trying to be enough for someone who had decided long ago that I never would be." "Get out," I whispered. "What?" "Get out," I screamed, surprising both of us. "Go to Melissa. Go to your mother's grave. I don't care. Just get out of my house." "Your house?" He laughed. "I pay the mortgage. If anyone's leaving, it's you." My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady when I replied. "Actually, no. This house is in both our names. And I have text messages, lots of them, where you've told me you'd be working late, when clearly you weren't. I have witnesses who've seen you with her. I have credit card statements showing dinners and hotel rooms you've been charging while I've been pinching pennies to save for our future. So unless you want me to take all of that to a divorce lawyer and have your company find out you've been falsifying your work hours, you'll walk out that door right now." I don't know where those words came from. Maybe they'd been building inside me during all those lonely nights. Maybe watching him destroy our anniversary had finally broken something in me, not my heart, but the chains I'd allowed him to place around it. Mark stared at me, mouth agape. I'd never spoken to him like this before. I'd always been the peacekeeper, the one who backed down. "You wouldn't," he finally said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Try me." I walked to the front door and opened it. "I suggest you pack an overnight bag. My lawyer will contact yours tomorrow." "You don't have a lawyer," he scoffed. "I will by morning." We stood there, locked in a silent battle of wills. Then, wordlessly, he went upstairs. I heard drawers opening and closing, the zip of his suitcase. 10 minutes later, he came down with a bulging duffel bag. He paused at the door. "This isn't over." "It's been over for a long time," I replied. "I just didn't want to see it." After he left, I locked the door and slid down against it, finally allowing the tears to come. I cried for the marriage I thought I had, for the years I spent trying to please someone who had already decided I was a disappointment, for the life I had planned that would never come to be. But beneath the grief, I felt something else stirring. Relief. Freedom. A chance to rediscover who I was without trying to be someone else's version of perfect. This morning, I woke up alone in our bed. The house was quiet. No passive-aggressive sighs. No thinly veiled criticisms. Just peace. I made myself coffee and sat at the kitchen table where last night's disaster had unfolded. On the counter was the recipe card for beef bourguignon, written in his mother's elegant script. I picked it up, studied it for a moment, then tore it into tiny pieces and dropped them into the trash. Then I opened my laptop and typed. "I spent hours cooking my husband's favorite meal for our anniversary. He took one bite, spat it into his napkin, and snapped. No wonder my mother begged me not to marry you. You're useless in every way. And here we are. I don't know what happens next. I'm terrified and heartbroken and strangely hopeful all at once. But I do know one thing for certain. I'll never again spend my life trying to follow someone else's recipe for who I should be. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.